Hi guys, it's me, Carrie Silver Lining Mena, and this is a continuation of my story, of course. And even though I keep saying I'm done, I am not done with my twin flame relationships. I'm still learning, growing, and evolving through these men. So I'm going to kind of continue along with that story. And again, my story, so many of the things happen at once, so I can't really present it chronologically, but I'm going to do that as best as I can to make the connections between one event to another. I've taken some notes, and this is my second attempt today, and I did another attempt last week. I hated that one. And today's, even though I have this list here, it was bouncing all over the place. So I don't know if my list is doing me any good or not. But I'm going to just jump in and hope for the best and hope I get through all of it. And I apologize if I go back and forth so much, but I want to get it all in. I don't want to do it again, and I don't like tacking on those other pieces at the end. So cross our fingers that I get this all in. Okay, so one day I was sitting in my garage getting high. I have the doors open, so I have a really great view, but it keeps the wind out, gives me a little bit more privacy, whatever. So I was sitting in there and I was playing with my dog a little bit. We have all these balls. The kids just outgrew their basket of balls. And so I was letting Soba have all of them. I didn't care if her teeth chomped a big hole in them. And I just was rolling a basketball away. And I was like, psh. And I thought to myself as I'm watching it roll down the driveway that, having a twin flame relationship is like having a relationship like a ball. And I thought of Tom Hanks and his relationship with his volleyball Wilson. That's very much what it's been like for me. It's just a fabricated relationship with a mascot of a person. My people happen to be real, but they're equally unresponsive. It's just me engaging with my Wilson, with my volleyball. And the ultimate goal of my journeys is to be able to take that ball and just roll it away with no expectations of it ever coming back. And to be honest, I've rolled that ball away many times. It keeps coming back on its own. I think I mentioned another day that I keep throwing them back into the ocean and the tide keeps bringing them back in. Well, I'm not done with my inner work. And to be honest, I don't know if, according to twin flame mythology, or at least my own personal messages from my guides, is that I won't stop loving them until that union takes place, in which case the love will transmute and I will gain that friendship that I would really prefer all along. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I will be set free of this romantic love. In fact, Eric told me in a previous reading, I've been going over them. I'm going to be referring to a lot of my past readings. Eric said that he mentioned that my sacral chakra is gonna become more in balance, and I got a little whiny about that because if I want any of them to be big, I want it to be that one. He goes, "Oh no, you're gonna want this one balanced," and I think what that means is that I won't be so sexually drawn to these men. I mean, we're such sexual creatures. I mean, think of all the crimes that are done for sex. So it's a strong pull, and I think that's what keeps me tethered is just the desire for that, because I don't desire like a relationship. I don't want to marry them. I don't want to have families with them. I just want to spend some time with them. And I do love them. I love them very much, so I don't mean to imply anything else. And you know what? I thought about that too. Oops. Is the reason that I don't have expectations for a longer relationship because I feel undeserving of it, because I truly don't want it, or because that's what I've been told all along, that that's what's going to happen and I've come to accept it? I'm not sure. I kind of went about that. I just don't think it's not that I don't want a long-term relationship. I just don't see me having one with either of them. I love them and I think they're great guys, but we just want different things in life. I've already done the things that I feel like they want to do. And actually, Michael's already doing it. So speaking of that, when Michael, I mentioned before that the reason I feel like I don't want to go, one of my biggest discouragers from wanting to spend some time with Michael has been because he had this baby. And I found this out quite some time ago. We're at we're at the beginning of February, and when I saw his baby back at the beginning of December and that picture on his wall, when I went and spied on him, I was like, uh-oh. And, it really did have an effect on me. Of course it did. And I almost considered blocking him, not because, he needed blocking, but I did. I worried that I'd continue to peak and get my heart broken. But that was just a temporary panic because I haven't looked since. I don't want to. And it's not just because I'm honoring him and his family and his journey, but I'm honoring myself because I don't ever want to be second best again. I don't want to compete with his family. And I don't even want to be first best in this particular circumstance. I don't want to be, I don't want him to put his family behind me or whatever it is. Not that he's considering any of this, but it doesn't matter because he's my Wilson. So I have to just, figure out my own shit, regardless of, what he's thinking about or what's going on in his life. He's just a mascot. So I've come to the conclusion, I've come to the place of healing that that instead of being like devastated that, I don't know, it just, that baby really did set me free and I really am happy for him. But when it comes to, I'm switching gears, when it comes to Fairy Boy, I mentioned that at least the last time, because they keep coming back, but with that last wave, when Wilson rolled back in, I chose to give Fairy Boy up because I don't know if he's coming back or not. I don't know if either of them are, but I just feel like I'll connect with Michael. But I don't know if I ever will with Fairy Boy. I say that, but I have a story about that too. But for now, I don't know if he's ever coming back. And because I had this, there was such a connection between him and I don't want to say his name. I hate to keep calling him the oppressor and he doesn't really feel like a twin. So I don't know what to call him. I'm just going to call him the oppressor twin because that's what he represented to me was, 3 different kinds of oppressors. The ones that, again, I got to review. The men at the brothel that, paid to have sex with me. And then the men of my youth that coerced me into having sex. And then the men that my mom chose over me. I don't know why he played that role, but he did. And maybe because, I'm deviating a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and finish this stuff with him and then move on. But because, he's connected to Fairy Boy in that, I have like this oval shape in my mind. It's like this one block of my journey that is kind of separate than the others because remember they connected Fairy Boy in many ways to the oppressor twin because they wanted me to believe there is a romantic connection, et cetera, et cetera. I've said it a dozen times as to why that happened, but I used that to convince myself that it was possible that not only was the third twin the oppressive twin observation, but that Fairy Boy was also an observation. And why keep pining over just an observation? So that allowed me to let go just a little bit more. But let me go back to as long as I'm here. Should I go here now? No, I'm not going to go there yet, but I will. But okay, so Fairy Boy, the reason that now that he's back again, and I mentioned before that he was very complimentary to me and really, really boosted up my self-esteem and gave me big props for all my hard work to lose weight. And I deserved those props. I did work hard. I worked really, really hard. But what his compliments and praise did for me was to create another expectation. He was the external source that was, providing me with an expectation, unwittingly. He wasn't trying to. He was just like truly saying, great job, you did it. Because, it's really hard to change your body, to manipulate it in any way. So, he was just being a friend. But because I was, already completely hooked into him, in my brain, I equated that with me needed to continue losing weight and maintaining that weight because this is my new love interest. And the way to his heart is by looking beautiful because look at how much praise I'm getting from him for this. So the pressure was on. And I continued to lose weight, but I finally got to a place where I plateaued and it didn't matter how many calories and food I did not eat. It didn't matter how many more blocks around, I rode my bike around the block. It didn't matter how much more I did or less I consumed. That scale wasn't budging. And I would step on that thing all day long. I'd go pee and I'd lose 0.2 of a pound or whatever. I'd be like, yay. It was an obsession. So, So it became so hard and such a challenge. And I didn't get it at first. It took me a long time. It took me up until recently to realize that the reason for, Fairy Boy came in to give me a repeat lesson that I didn't learn from Michael, but it didn't stay a repeat lesson. There were more lessons. Like I said, he provided that contrast for the oppressor twin, and he provided me with other opportunities, but the one I'm dealing with right now, because I find him so attractive. It's all about looks. He's so pretty to me, but it's not about his looks. It's about my looks. And I have to just learn to stop caring so damn much. And for me, it's mostly my body. Actually, I'm looking at my image right here in the camera, and it looks good because I got my angle right. I got my lights right. But when I was putting my sparkles on in the bathroom, I was dreading it because I don't have the angle. I put on a lot of weight. I got old person marks, and I'm really, really in the depths of loathing myself. I don't think I'll stay here though. But there's nothing I can do about it. Besides my trickery here, I can't get younger. I can manipulate my body, but it's way too much work. I guess I can get younger. I can go get plastic surgery. I can do a lot of radical things to try to fit into this box of the tall, thin, young girl that the men I am attracted to and love and are attracted to. But I don't want to be in their box anymore. It's too hard. I don't fit in it. We don't fit in other people's boxes. We only fit in our own. And that is the contrast that he provided for me. So over here, I was loving it. I loved being skinny, and skinny. I say skinny. I was never skinny. But relatively speaking, I was pretty happy. But I was never satisfied though. I was, determined to keep going, and I just couldn't and stopped. So now I'm way over here and I'm just miserable. I'm miserable. But through experience, it's the misery, the place of misery in which you free yourself. You have to be in that vibration. And sometimes it takes a long time. And I was under the impression that I would have been done with this already because in a reading I had, the 2020, I don't know if it was that one. Anyway, all of my readings I'm going to refer to. I'm not going to get specific with each one, but one of them is the one with Beautiful Mistress. One of them is the one with Future Me. One of the one is the reading I had with the 2020 New Year's resolution with Heather, and the other one is Michelle's from a year ago, and she's agreed to come back, and we're going to have an update from that. So if I pull back from old readings, and I'm not specific, it's one of those. I want to give credit where credit's due. One of the readings said that in a year, I will know exactly what to eat and how much to eat and blah, blah, blah. And so I was thinking that would be like December. Well, no. I didn't, when I went back and listened to it, it wasn't a year from December. It was a year from when I started it. So that was like, I'm not sure, August, September, late summer. And so I'm like only 4 or 5 months into it. I'm not sure, it takes people like at least a year to continue to eat and eat and eat and eat until both our brains and our bodies figure out that food ain't going anywhere. So, I've been living like this for 50 years almost. It's going to take some time. And unfortunately, it's my body that's suffering from it. I'm growing and I haven't gotten on the scale, but I have increased a size or 2 in my pants. I can still squish into my smaller ones, but I don't want to squish into them. They're not comfortable and I don't go anywhere anyway. So why bother? I just pretty much live in pajamas. I have day pajamas and night pajamas. The day pajamas you can actually wear to the grocery store. It's those big old gray sweatshirts and leggings. But look, I found like a girly sweatshirt. Still not sure how I'm going to deal with summer in Texas. I'll figure it out. I just have to, suck it up and deal with it. Okay, so the point I'm trying to get at with telling you why I've let these men go again is because this time around, it's to honor myself. It's to honor that I'm not going to live up to somebody else's standards. It has nothing to do with an observation and everything to do with me not taking that shit anymore. And the other one was again with Michael, me deciding for myself that I don't want to be in a position of not being his focus, whoever that he is. I'm not doing that. So that one, they just both feel like futile. Actually, well, they always have. I say that all the time. Michael's really does. Fairy Boys, let me talk about that just for a second. Because I keep saying I let them go. I have no more expectations. However, I can't unknow information. Now, my guides spent a lot of time lying to me and tricking me and betraying me and having loopholes to give me incorrect information or information that was going to change at some point. And this is something I got from one of the readings I reviewed, because they were very specific. They said, this is only for you. This is not for anybody else. But Carrie, you chose, and we double checked with you. You chose to learn how to channel for yourself. So, and I didn't know it at the time, but they were referring to all the betrayal that was coming up. And I know that, but some of the betrayal had already happened, because whatever. So I want to emphasize to you guys that just because I asked my guides to fuck my shit up with their lies and betrayal, that doesn't mean they do it to everybody. It's possible that they do, though, where, some people may think that, oh, our guides will not lie to us. They will, especially if you ask them to. So even though I have like this constant, never-ending distrust anymore, and it's not even so much that, it's that I can't ever again believe that whatever was said is the truth for forever, because energy shifts and paths do change. So having said that, though, I don't believe that everything they've told me is a lie. They could, it can change, but I have to believe that some of it is the truth. I mean, a lot of it's come true in the past already. So I have that as a filter too, where some of it is true. Plenty of it is. So all of the things that I believe to be true, like, for example, as many times as I've given these men up and saying, I'm done, I can't unknow what a twin flame relationship is. I can't unknow that the twins are supposed to come together. I can't unknow that a year ago, Volti told me that the love I so desire will be mine, meaning Fairy Boy. I can't deny that conversation happened. And I was really pissed off about him for that. And I accused him of betraying me. And I don't really think that he lied to me, but the betrayal I'm referring to is that he created an expectation from which I had to break myself from again. So he said it, and it could be true. I have to understand that. So I always know, and in my heart, I really believe, even though I keep saying I'm done, I'm getting rid of them, I'm done, I'm over it, throw them back, roll into the ocean, roll them away down the driveway. I still know, I just know that they're coming back. I know that they are. I know I'm going to spend time with them. I hate admitting that, because to me it feels like I'm going backwards, but it's really not, because even though I know this, I also always know that energies shift and paths can change. So I may know it on one level, but I also know that it's possible that things can deviate. So the knowing doesn't really mean too much if you know it can change too. But I feel like it's going to happen right now. And when I go into, and that's okay. Maybe I only need to know that so I can continue to work through them, not through my problems, but through my twins. So because Michael's kind of off the table right now, my body shape has nothing to do with him, because I may go into that in just a sec. I probably will. Well, let's go ahead. I'll do it right now. No, I won't, because it connects to something else. Okay, so this isn't a way to convince me of, knowing that he's going to, Fairy Boy is going to love me anyway. It's really not, because that's not my goal. My goal is to let it go, and I have, but I can't help but know these other things, and they help. They're my inner work. They help me understand stuff. So even though, I know it's futile, I know it's not the reason, I know all these things, I still know that I'm working through Fairy Boy. I find him very attractive. I want to be attractive for him so that I can earn his love. Those things are also true, even though they're not true. So when I have these thoughts about him, the inner work I'm doing about that is telling myself that it doesn't matter how much weight you lose. It doesn't matter. I think I mentioned this before. I can't get taller. I can't get younger. I can't change my skin color. There's a lot of things I cannot do in order to be attractive to somebody else. So to continue to try to earn his affections that way is futile. So I tell myself, but if I'm going to like do this intuitive eating and after a year or two, I balance and find my set weight, which, I will allow for quite a big fluctuation because I don't believe there's like one number on the scale that we belong to for all eternity. We get older, we have health things, just whatever happens, things happen. And so in theory, if he is going to come back, it will have nothing to do with the way I look. It will have nothing to do with the shape of my body. And it will have everything to do with my energy. It's my energy that will attract it. When I have healed and I have shed myself of this shame, that's when I will allow through the energy or universe or whatever. That's when those waves will go out to him and say, oh, she's ready. And if he's ready too, doing whatever his inner work is and his vibration finally matches mine and he's ready, then the universe will bring us back together. But it's got nothing to do with how many pounds I lose. It has everything to do with the energetic shame I feel and will shed. It's my energetic weight that will allow me to be attractive to somebody else. Now, I don't know if it will be him. I don't know if it's going to be the twins. Maybe it will be nobody. Maybe my carrot all along was just appreciating home life, but I couldn't do it until I shed myself of all this bullshit through these other people. I don't know. I'll have theories about that, but I don't. Hang on. So, and that seems impossible to me sometimes when I look in that mirror, like I was feeling so ugly, putting my face on and, I'm half naked and looking in the mirror at myself and I'm like, there's just no fucking way this guy is so good looking and young. There's no fucking way he's going to be attracted to me. It ain't happening. But then, I got my curls in, I put my eyeliner on and, my bling. And I was like, okay, I'm getting a little cuter. And I was like, maybe. But the reality is that I know it's energy. So let me go back to Michael for a sec. You know how I'm like, this is like a total different tangent now, but it relates to this. It's a good segue. But I keep talking about how pretty Fairy Boy is to me, and I've mentioned that I don't know if he's as pretty as he really is, or if my heart-shaped stars in my eyes are especially big for him. And I say this because I used to feel the same way about Michael. I'd look at him and he was like the most beautiful creature alive. And even though I thought this, I also knew that if not for this energetic connection and this, this knowing from the other side that who he is to me, I know I wouldn't feel that way about him. And I don't mean to say he's unattractive. He's not. He's a little cutie. Well, he's not a little cutie. He's a very, very tall cutie. He's so tall, in fact, that we really are like Princess Leia and Chewbacca. And there's such a big discrepancy in our heights that I find that unattractive. I don't find tall men unattractive. I don't find short women unattractive, but them together is just awkward to me. That's not attractive to me. So, but still, he's my Michael. It doesn't matter. And I continue to have my fantasies about both of them. But when it comes to him, I don't even need to see anything. And when I really want comfort, I still go back to that hug in which my eyes were closed. And all I could do was smell his fabric softener in his shirt and pet his soft hair. So I don't even need to see him. And to further that, how about Avery? I've never laid my conscious eyes on him before, my non-forgetting eyes. But I love him, and I feel like, I hate to say this, but this version of me talking to you right now has never seen him before. Yet I'm in love with him and I think he's sexy. So I fully understand that it's the energy that Fairy Boy will find attractive in me. So I don't even need to lose weight to get him. So that's just something to throw out there. And I think that's especially true with twins. I really believe that they just turn that shit off and on. And I guess that's that way for everybody. Yeah, it's got to be. Every time you're attracted to somebody and, you always think it's about looks. And I don't know, I'm curious about that. Are we really attracted to somebody based on their looks? Or is it just rigged that way? That they kind of look the same. Let's go ahead and, when we incarnate together, let's make each other humanly attractive to each other. Even though we might not be, we'll just tell our brains that we are. Are they turning those dials out there? Sometimes you really got to wonder, because the mismatch in couples is like, how did those two ever get together? Energy. Okay, so I want to go back to all of that stuff. So when I mentioned a long time ago, when I mentioned a few minutes ago that a long time ago, Michael used to be incredibly beautiful to me, I would have a shrine of his laminated pictures. They were they were such treasures and so precious to me. I laminated them all and I'd fan them around me. I won't even, well, I guess I'm halfway through my story now, because I'm going to talk about this stuff anyway in a minute. But I would like fan my pictures of Michael and all my fuck toys. This is at the beginning when I was like releasing so much sex stuff. And I just cry and masturbate all day long. And then later in the evening, when my family came home, I'd go outside and cry and tell them all about all of the things I thought about during my masturbating fuck party worshiping session all day long. I do this day after day. I would hurt. My vagina would hurt. It was not fun. It became torturous. And speaking of porn, did I mention I would watch porn too? I'd watch porn and masturbate and cry all day. So speaking of porn, what I've been doing currently, and it's kind of working is I'm such a perv. I know I deviated from that other story. I'm going to get back to it. But one of the ways in which I am, let me cross my fingers and make sure I don't forget what it was. Okay, timelines. Okay, is that I've been watching like fat girl porn and trying to make myself more comfortable with larger bodies and what it looks like to be touched and what it looks like to be fucked and what it looks like to not be perfect, or my version of perfect, my unrealistic photoshopped version of perfect. And I have to watch lesbian porn because I can't even deal with watching a man touch a chubby girl, because it makes me feel so uncomfortable. I can't do it. But the lesbian porn, that's okay. I'm getting there. It's working. Just kidding. Sex is sex, But really, my motivation for that is to truly normalize all body shapes and get out of my head that the only people worthy of being fucked and touched are those skinny bitches. Sorry to all the skinny bitches out there. I mean you no disrespect. But the chubby bitches want some love too, and we're worthy of it. Okay, so let me go back over to my fingers crossed, which is Michael used to be beautiful. I'd stare at him all the time. He was the one I had my shrine. And I don't mean to say that he became unattractive to me. He just became, it doesn't matter anymore. That's what it means. But before it didn't matter anymore, I'm wondering, because I did find him so beautiful, was he originally going to be the one to supply this experience for me that Fairy Boy is? Was Michael going to be the one that was complimentary to me and give me props and praise for losing weight? So I saw both men at the same time. If I didn't get off track, would that have been the turning point for Michael? I wonder if that's when he met replacement me, surrogate me. And let me deviate a second for that. Hang on, I gotta cross my fingers again. Replacement me, surrogate me. So I'm wondering, at first I thought there's no way that Michael would have provided the experience that Fairy Boy did. But then I was like, well, maybe, I honestly don't know. That's a question I have for Michelle when I talk to her in spirit. But remember when I told the story of how when Michael and I first connected, they told me that he was meant for a life of peace, no relationship. He was going to have a solitary life. He may have been lonely, but he wouldn't have had all the drama of being involved romantically, because I don't care how much you love your mate. We sign up for contrast and conflict and, growth opportunities. So if he's in a relationship, then he's having all of these things. I'm not judging her. I'm not judging their relationship, because I feel that way about everybody. There may be a few, blessed relationships out there that are chill, but most of them, we sign up to grow with people. So it's not always smooth sailing. So So because the guides told me that I poured so much love on him that he changed his path of being in a solitary life, no relationship, to choosing to have a relationship because he wanted to experience the love I had for him, but with somebody that was more compatible for him to be with. That, and because I needed to have that experience of being rejected and made to feel like second best secret, that I didn't really change that path. I mean, maybe he was on this trajectory, but I was always meant to come and change that trajectory. Having said that, for the longest time, since I realized that Michael got a surrogate for me and the universe brought me a surrogate, he didn't really bring me a surrogate though. The universe brought me a second twin. And I had a lot of regret about that. I had a lot of regret that I missed my opportunity to spend time with Michael. I don't regret the opportunity to potentially spend time with Fairy Boy. But if I don't ever get to, then I feel like I not only lost out on the time with Michael, but wasted a couple years of my life, which I didn't really waste him. If I needed to go back to school, I needed to go back to school. But still, it just feels like I should have done it the first time. And I have a lot of regret about that. I accept it, but it irritates me. But just wonder if that was always the path all along, that I didn't really need an adjustment bureau, that I was always meant to have the two. But when they told me about the story, I was on this trajectory. But circumstances required me to go on this trajectory. Was that always the plan? And I know they'll say something like, oh, of course, because there's infinite plans, something like that. But I want to get to the bottom of that. And it really doesn't matter if there was an adjustment bureau and Fairy Boy was never originally part of the plan. He is now, and there's nothing I can do with it. So, let's make some lemonade. But, and I'll get over that remorse, that regret of not having my shit together on time, so that I can have that experience with Michael that the surrogate girl did. And I want to talk about that a little bit, because don't forget that Michael is my Wilson, and both men, Michael and Fairy Boy, they're both my Wilsons. They have been very tight-lipped about their experiences with other women. Clearly, Michael has had a baby, so I know there's something going on there. He's no virgin. But I don't know what happened with these girls that, with anybody else. I mean, clearly Michael's, whatever with his girl. But the other one, I can speculate. I can, I don't know if they had the... And I'm going on, my twin flame filter. I don't know if they had the same experience that he and I had, which, had implications, but never really actions. And I just felt, left hanging, that carrot still dangling. Or if she got the carrot, or if there's some other completely different dynamic that would have met both of their needs and had nothing to do with mine. So even though I'm talking my stories about what happened with this guy or this guy, I really don't know. And it doesn't matter. I only need to work with my assumptions. As long as I'm not accusing them of anything or making false claims, and I'm not. I'm telling you what I do know, and I'm actually telling you what I don't know. And, I get nervous about talking about that stuff because I don't want to be telling their biz, but the reality is that I don't know all the details, and part of me wants to know sometimes just because I want to make my own comparisons. And I like to do with Heather, I like to see where she's at in her evolution. I like to do the same thing with Michael, because I thought if I learned about Michael and the surrogate me, I might find out more about me and Fairy Boy. It's not that I'm need to know everything. I'm just being selfish and want to know how it relates to me. Okay, so wow, that was pretty long-winded. Let me see what else I can come up with. Okay, I did that one and that one. Oh, and let me just mention, okay, I'll just start right here. Okay, so remember last week, and I just got done bragging about my new girly sweatshirt. It's so cute, but they're so expensive. My gray ones are like $5. This one was $50, but don't worry, I got on Black Friday sale. It was $25, which is still outlandish. But fuck, I'm worth it. I can have one nice thing, right? And speaking of that, even though I do like my slobby chic look that I introduced to you with my rhinestones and gray Fruit of the Loom sweatshirts, I cannot deny that when my pendulum was way over here, I really loved wearing my skirts, and I have to wear skirts because I'm not a lady and I need the built-in shorts. But from the outside, they look like skirts. And I loved wearing skirts, mini skirts with t-shirts, motherfucking t-shirts tucked in. I wore my shirts tucked in. I really liked that, and I can't deny not liking that, and I miss that, and I grieve that. I wasn't that small before, though, so maybe I can squeeze back into them one day. And really, you're not supposed to want to lose weight. When you are doing this intuitive eating, you're supposed to accept yourself at any size. I'm not there yet. I'm still very fat phobic, and I use the word fat a lot, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to those others that take that word as something negative. I'm trying to use it as a descriptor only. And fat, doesn't always have to be a bad thing. I don't want it to be a bad thing. I want it to be just a descriptor. So my fear isn't necessarily about being fat. My fear is about becoming something that I'm uncomfortable with. And it's the change, the unknown change. The fear of the unknown is pretty big for everybody. And I don't know. It's when I give up the control that I'm having over having a small body, I'm also giving up love. And that's scary. I want to be loved. Speaking of that, and you know what? Let me keep going. So when I made that decision to, give up my body, I had a real moment of realizing I'm giving it up forever. I realized that I'm not going to have my fantasy body ever. I'm never, ever going to have that body that brings in the men I love. So giving up the chase for the fantasy body coincided with giving up the chase of that love. That hurts. So I really grieved losing the shape of my body for that reason. I want to be pretty. I want to feel pretty. And that means my whole body. And I have to redefine what feeling pretty is. And it's really hard in a society in which Fat Barbie is a joke. It's not a real thing. They make black Barbies now for the black little girls to emulate, but there's no fat Barbie. Nobody emulates the fat girl. Nobody wants to be the big girl. And again, I apologize for making it sound like fat is bad. It's not. I still feel like it is in my heart, in my core, but my brain knows that it's just different. I am a rare beauty. I am a beauty with curves. Okay, so and I told you I went to a therapist and she didn't really have any way to help me. And then in the last video, I kind of contradicted myself because I said I don't want any help from external sources telling me what to eat and all that stuff. And then I said I might go to a dietitian that specializes in intuitive eating and PCOS. And I'm kind of on the fence about that. And it's not because I feel like I will sabotage myself by getting help and external information, because it's all up to us to do our own research to find out what works and what doesn't work for us. So to me, I just kind of viewed that as a form of research, not somebody telling me what to do. I'm going to learn it and then, make it work for me in my own way. And I found a great place that's nearby that's covered by my insurance, but I'm not there yet. I don't want to learn how to take care of myself yet. Every time I read about vegetables, it makes me cry because it makes me feel like diet. It makes me feel like work. And I don't ever want to go to that place of, it really affected me. I don't want to be a slave to my scale and numbers in the, on the labels of the food. I don't want to do that anymore. It was too much. So I don't even really exercise yet because that still feels like a diet work. I really want to work out though, or do something because my body hurts. It could be from all the sugar I eat. It could be just from all the weight I've gained so fast. I don't know, but I went to the doctor yesterday. I wanted to have my blood tested to make sure, to see if more of my sugar medicine. It's called metformin. It helps regulate your insulin or something. I don't know. I used to take a whole lot more when I was trying to get pregnant, but my doctor lowered that dose, and I wanted to see if I was eating too much sugar and maybe needed to increase it. But no, my levels are still good. I'm still in there. And my doctor, by the way, was very supportive. She made sure I did not see my weight. I don't want to know. And so I appreciated her too for allowing me to continue my journey without judging me or making suggestions. I thanked her for that too. Okay. So let me talk about some of the other stuff. I'm just going to go through my list now. Again, some of the things from the old channelings that I realized. Now one of the, I told you the lie one. Okay. Another one, and then the year. Oh, this is a big bummer. Okay. So I made a post that I thought that now that I'm ending the absorption of Mariana, that now I will begin to absorb beautiful mistress, the alien me, the one that's going to, traverse galaxies to go meet up with Avery and our space babies. That's such an awesome story. If you're not familiar with that, then go watch that one, The Andromedan. I love that story. Anyway, in that, and I just watched that one, and what she said was that I don't absorb, she doesn't absorb me until I die. So she's not the next one. I have to ask Michelle that. I'm so disappointed because that puts me right back into a place of worrying that I have to heal for another fucking incarnation. That's so much work. It won't be that way no matter what it is. But fuck, man, I was looking forward to it being some advanced species that's going to, download some cool shit into me rather than me healing the other one. I want somebody to give me a present already, right? We'll see. Okay, so now let me talk about, I learned when my solar plexus story. Remember, I was having all the surgeries and I talk about that big lump of indigestion in there. Well, my solar plexus does not heal entirely until I'm done with getting my, my eating and all that stuff under control. And, but let's see. But I have a feeling that I gave it a little bit of exercise in this last lesson I had over the summer, my angry lesson in shedding all of the false beliefs about the oppressive men in my life. And you've heard, I think it's just obvious if you've been following me from shiny into I'm such a big feely girl. I'm so emotional. In fact, the guide said something to me. No, it wasn't the guides. Let me deviate just for a second. Beautiful mistress in that channeling said that if she's going to give me advice in my life review, I wished that I had learned how to rein in my emotions, that they are so powerful. And I react in such an enormous way, more than most people can even conceive. And I know she's right. I absolutely do. I told you I'd get to these places where I just have my exorcisms of just screaming release of whatever, bullshit I need to currently free myself of. But because I've never been like a calm girl, my kids are so fucking calm. I'm like, how does this not affect you? I don't have a frame of reference personally. I don't know what it feels like to not react to the max. I got to work on that. I really want to. So, Fairy Girl, let it be known, without too painful of a lesson and experience, help me learn how to chill out, okay? Continue that. I know I've done better, so maybe it's just time, but because I was given that message, I'm thinking maybe I should make a bigger conscious effort to rein that shit in. Okay, but my heart really is big, and the message, the clue I got was because your heart is so big and your solar plexus is like a teeny tiny funnel. Nothing can go through it. It's like not quite blocked, but it can't function properly. So what I put together, two and two together about that last experience with the oppressor is that they told me that I was going to solve my issues, which should have been handled by my solar plexus chakra, which is the one I believe, which has to do with empowerment and not taking shit and things like that. I had to do that through my heart chakra, which is so huge. So I get it. It makes sense that I would have to, instead of becoming self-empowered through my solar plexus, I became self-empowered through my heart. And the way that worked was that instead of shutting down from all the abuse of men coercing me or abandoning me, one or the other, many times both, both really. Instead of healing or shutting my heart down after all that abuse and just, well, abuse, I'm calling it abuse, trauma. I compensated by opening my heart up bigger, and I see that pattern because I just let myself just be used so many more times. And even like with Michael and Fairy Boy, I loved them so much that even though they had other girls and even though they lived far, I loved them so much. And I was loyal, even though I never left. It's because my heart is so big. So the guides chose to allow me to learn my self-empowerment through this big, huge heart, by tricking me into believing that there was love on the other side of that oppressive twin relationship. That if I only just, stuck it out, if I only just did it with him, they were coercing me. They were the ones coercing me. And he helped too. And I recently came across a term that fit him perfectly. I didn't even need to read the things, but I did anyway. He is a love bomb narcissist. He threw so much fucking love on me. I went and looked at the criteria for it, and he doesn't, he's not completely all of them, but there's plenty of them. And if you're curious as to what a love bomb narcissist is, you can go ahead and look at it, but I'm not going to sit there and list them all because that feels like I'm pointing my finger at him and accusing him of it, which I am, but I'm not going to have the details. So I see what the guides meant by how I was going to find self-empowerment through my heart chakra in a lesson, which is usually dealt with through the solar plexus chakra. So now my solar plexus chakra is, I think, the last one that needs to get balanced, at least because my throat, I sure can talk. And I think once the throat chakra, the solar plexus chills out, I think that's when the fuck dials get turned down. I think that's when finally the sacral chakras will find balance too. But Fairy Girl's got to keep me tethered. She's got to keep me in love so I continue to do this inner work. And it's so stupid to me sometimes because I know what it is. I know what it is. I'm just problem solving through love. Isn't that funny? It's very painful many days. I'm sitting here matter of fact, but it can hurt. Okay. So I also learned, and I'm referring to a reading I had with Denise. She's like, ask yourself, or not she, but the guides are channeling a message through her, why I like to eat those jujubes. And she says, because you can just take care of yourself and you can just, you don't need, nobody's going to bother you. And I realized, even though you kind of know that, you're eating your feelings, you're eating your emotions. I had this kind of perspective the other day. There's a shift in that, a little added peek as to what that means. And the reason, because I'm doing this eating thing and I've made peace with many of my foods, and now I'm at a place where there's still some I crave sometimes, but mostly I don't know what the fuck to eat, but I want to eat still. I've made peace with all of I'm kind of sick of licorice right now. That ended 2 days ago. I just was like, fuck it, and I just ate so much licorice. So yummy. I don't know what to eat, but I still want to eat. So I'm feeding some kind of something. I'm feeding an emotion. I'm feeding an emptiness. I'm feeding a void. And that's when it became clear to me is that when you're hungry and you feel those hunger pains, I'm a fortunate girl in that I have infinite food. I will never run out of food. If my cupboard runs out of food, I have a credit card. I can go buy food. So I'm in a position where I'll never, ever run out of food. So when I get hungry, I just go and I feed my belly. I feed myself. I take care of myself. I feed my belly. I don't need any external sources to supply that feeding for me. It's always readily available, always. So I can always feed my hunger. But what's not always readily available and has in fact been absent from all of my life, most of my life, I had, brief moments when I did have it, enough to give me a taste, But what's been missing is returned love, returned romantic love. I've always chased it, and for years at a time, 6 years, 4 years, not just a couple months, and this guy's, oh, forget it, he's not interested. Years I've chased men that become involved with other women, men that, use me for the night and then don't ever talk to me, but I stay in love with them. So I think what I'm feeding is the hunger in my heart. So when I'm really just not really hungry, and I'm not even, now that I'm not craving, when I craved my licorice, at least I knew it's because I really wanted the licorice and it was delicious, but it's not satisfying me like it once did. So why do I still want to eat? What am I feeding if this piece of food is not the satisfying piece in? So I get why I eat emotionally. It's to feed my empty heart that is devoid of that kind of love. So I fill that void with self-love, and I do that through my continued inner work of finding value in myself as I am. Let me see what my list says. Oh, okay. Let me go back. I'm sorry. I have to go back to the love bomb narcissist. I should call him the love bomber. So here's a little story. He was messaging me a lot. I'm just gonna kind of spill some beans. He was messaging me a lot a long time ago, and his messages were sometimes inappropriate. So I said to him, listen, and even though I put that boundary up, he broke it. And I'd say, listen, if you're going to continue to message me, then send texts to my phone, because my daughter doesn't have access to my phone. Well, she does, but she doesn't care. She wanted to use my tablet, and I didn't care. I shared it with her before she got her phone and disappeared forever. But we were sharing that electronic device, and his messages would pop up, and I didn't want her to see it. So I said, switch to texting. Well, when I finally told him, listen, I'm done. I said, I was very clear to him too. I said, I'm refunding your money. I don't want to see you at my Stardust event. I believe we are each other's bad guys. I don't think I'll ever see or communicate with you ever again. And both of us had a really rough time of this. Good luck in life. And that was it. Well, he continued to message me and text me and text me and text me. And I didn't want to read any of them. So I didn't. But I was always curious. What's this guy saying? I was curious, but not enough to open it. I didn't know if my phone was set for him to get a receipt that I had read it or not, until Layla figured it out and taught me. I didn't know that was even an option that you can switch in your settings. So there you go. But so I got a new phone from Santa, just like Layla did. And when I hooked up the new phone, the old phone still had the texts on there. So then I went and peeked, and I was reading all of the things he said to me, and he went right back to it. He started everything up all over again. And I know, I may have been his Wilson for a little bit, but I came rolling back. The tide brought me back into him. But I've changed, and I don't need that experience anymore. And I mean, it's like everything I said to him just went right over his head. It didn't compute. He's right back to giving, pouring the love on me and, some sex talk. And I'm like, I don't know how much more clear I can make it to this guy that I am not interested. And, on the internet, you see memes that say stuff like, when you have changed the way you respond, you know that you have healed from a pattern. Well, here comes this pattern again. And rather than trying to be nice to the guy that's just trying to be nice, instead of trying to have compassion for the guy who's having the same experience as I am and all this other stuff, I'm not doing this anymore. And I clicked block. I blocked him on Facebook, and I blocked him on my phone, because I am done. I'm done. And I just wanted to, he's like, and you know what else? I don't want to tell everything that he said. I've been kind of open about it. And he has the option to stay out of my story by staying out of my story. He once accused me of being addicted to the story times, and I've just been leading him on. But, he's welcome to leave my story anytime he wants to. But he is literally the guy that won't say no. that love bombing stuff. He says, every time you reject me, it just makes me want to try even harder. And there's nothing I won't do to not get you. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get you. And I'm like, you don't have that control over me. That's his lesson right there. He has to surrender the control that he thinks he has over me by trying to improve himself this way or that way or whatever. I may be the carrot, but I'm not the prize. The prize is him finding self-love through his unrequited love of me. But again, unlike my romantic twins, this guy served as an oppressor, and it's not just my belief, it's my insistence that there will be no union. I truly do not ever want to see him again, and I just don't. That's the energy that I feel. Okay. Oh, here's another little bit of, I don't think this is a secret because the guides wouldn't tell me stuff if I weren't meant to, well, not meant to share them, if I weren't allowed to share them. I don't have to tell everything that I know, but remember how I said that both of the twins are very tight-lipped about their experiences with other, their respective twins or surrogates or whatever they are? Well, I believe one of the reasons for that is so that I don't blab about it on my show. It's like they're programmed, whether they know it or not. If they just think that they're private people, their higher self is saying, don't say anything because that girl's going to go and talk about it. And that's me. I'm that girl. So here's a little juicy story that I learned a long time ago. This is another reason. God, I can't believe I forgot to tell you this one because this one's interesting to me. But a long, long time ago, years ago, I don't even know if I met Fairy Boy yet, and I certainly had not cracked open for him yet. This is a long time ago. This is when I kind of connected me and Michael and Heather together. We had a chat room. That didn't go over so well, but at the beginning I was so excited because I felt like my family's coming together. That kind of failed. But during that time is when I learned that Heather and I, I've said it a dozen times, we do the same things at the same time in different contexts. We're both having kind of like daddy issues these days, and I've kind of healed from mine. I'd like to share that story another day because it's interesting. And she's made her daddy issues very public. Mine have to do with my dad, giving me these opportunities to feel like, I'm being prostituted again. And he meant no such thing, but I just needed these little triggers. But I'll talk about that another day. So I asked the guides, well, which of M6 is Michael most like? Is he like me too? Thinking is Heather or whatever. And they said, no, Michael is most like Tennessee, the guy who lives in Tennessee. So this is a long time ago because I don't even know if Michael had met his girlfriend yet. And if he did, then it was just the beginnings of it. And I never, it wasn't even a consideration at this point that, he'd be starting a family with her. But now that he has, this information became a little bit more interesting to me because I asked, which one is it? They said Tennessee. And I guess I asked in which ways, or maybe they just volunteered it. But one of the things they said, oh no, they didn't say that. I'm sorry. But what they did say is that I was going to meet Tennessee. I was going to meet him when I went with my family to go to Dollywood. So when I was there, and they also told me that he was like not very attractive. He was fat and bald and his skin was fucked up and he really let himself go. I don't know if that's true, if I'm even remembering it right. I wish I didn't say that in case he watches this one day. But anyway, he was theory a very unattractive man. I guess just because he was not happy in his life and just kind of let himself go. And anyway, we all kind of did. I guess I am right now, but maybe he had his own, that was his time to, now I'm thinking about it. Maybe that was his time to come to his low, and I have no idea, whatever it was. And I'm sorry to Tennessee if he ever watches this, and I said mean, ugly things about you. I have no idea. This is just my filter and from what I remember. Anyway, the relevant part is not that, except I think it was really funny that I was looking all over Tennessee for somebody that was like that. I loved it. I never found him. And I asked the guides later on, what happened to my chance meeting with Tennessee when I was in Tennessee? And they said, well, he was going to go, but he didn't meet up with you because he changed his mind about going and decided to go back to his wife and kids and give it another shot or sorry, he went to go back to his wife and give his relationship another shot for the sake of his kids. So now that I'm in this place in the future from that message, that tells me that Michael, no matter what happens with him, it's very possible that he will continue to choose to go back to his family to give another shot. And I don't want to put myself in a position where it's going to happen. And not only would it be possible without that message, it's definitely possible with that message. So I don't want to put myself in that position. But that's just a little side note. I have no idea if that's a truth or what. But I do know that whatever happened with that surrogate of me, the surrogate that he connected with, now, while I don't know exactly what their dynamic was, I do know that he went back to his girl. So if that were me, then that would have happened. I don't know if it would happen again if I connect with him, or if that was the pattern that was meant for me because our paths hadn't changed yet with the Adjustment Bureau. You see how confusing this stuff gets? Holy cow. Okay, so I think I'm done. Oh, not quite. Okay, so with Michael, I've mentioned before, I can't believe I didn't figure this one out either, but with Michael, he kind of represented the men in the brothel who were married, who would come visit me on the Saturday night and love on me in private, but then take his lovely wife and family to church on Sunday. I was the second best secret to the girl. Well, when that repeat pattern happened again, I was the second best secret to the girl, but he didn't keep the girl. So again, I don't know what happened. It could have just been set up to look like there was a romance, and maybe there was not a romance. I don't know. It only needs to matter that I think there was, and I got my heart broken because of it. But remember I told you that before I even knew him or knew who he was to me, that the guides told me that he was young, lives far away, and will travel together. Well, they dangled that traveling carrot in front of me. That's what they did. It wasn't going to be another girl, because in his life, just the circumstances of it, he's not really in a position to have a romantic relationship, and I wouldn't know about it anyway, because there's no pictures being posted about it on his wall because he's shut down off the internet or, the social media sites. So they dangled travel when it came to him. And again, I can't believe that I didn't get that till just recently. And that made me realize when I did figure it out, how important travel is to me. Like, I feel such a pull to go to Europe. I watch the House Hunters International because I want to see how much it would cost me to live like 3 months in a certain city or country, because I'm so drawn to just experiencing something like that. I want to go. No coincidence that I married a man who, allows for me to fly for free, even though I don't have a dime. So I believe that, that for me, that the romance of travel is as strong as well, not quite as strong, but pretty strong in relation to the pull to having a romance. Interesting. They got me with that one. Remember I said I preferred having my heart broken over not going on a trip rather than having my heart broken over another girl. So I do appreciate that, although I really would have loved to be on that trip with him. Oh, and last thing. And I don't know if I mentioned this in previous videos, but again, I can't unknow the possibility. I believe that both twins, I'm going to have experiences with both of them when all of my dust settles. I don't think it will be for a very long time, which irritates me that I'm still pining away for them because it's already been going. I mean, Michael started like in 14, and it's now 21. So, I've been pining away for a long time, and I'm really tired of it. So I wish if this journey of self-love and finding my hunger cues and fullness cues and, all of this stuff with my body, I'm already committed to that journey. So must I really be tethered to them still? Can't you just cut that shit off now? Cut those cords, cut those spaghetti noodles. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone with that tether, because it just, at this point, it feels like unnecessary torture. I've given them up. I already know I'm going to do this. So the longer they stick around makes me just feel like there's more work to do. I don't want to wait a couple more years until I'm like And I don't mean like physically ready, like I'll be pretty for them, but I mean like set. Like whatever I'm programmed to weigh, I'll be done and I will have that self-acceptance. I don't want to be chasing and having unrequited futile love until then. That irritates me. So again, I push that volleyball away. I push my Wilson away, my twin flame relationship with the fucking volleyball. I'll push it away. I don't know if it's going to come back or not. That's the thing, is that, the goal is to push it away with no expectation of it coming back. That's the goal of a twin flame relationship. You let that shit go. I don't know when that ball's going to stop, where it's going to stop, but I'm not expecting it to come back here. And in my case, because I'm not done with my inner work, I don't want it to come back here. It's not the union. That's the version that's not coming back. It's the Wilson version. And I don't want the mascot anymore. Goodbye. So that leaves me again to coming back to believing that the carrot that I do get to catch is the carrot that I've had all along. And that is being in this family with this man that loves me and takes care of me, with these 3 awesome kids that are, relatively speaking, very easy. They come with their challenges, but they're very, very easy, and they provide me with so much love. I mean, I couldn't live without these doodles. I love them so much. They're so interesting and smart, and I have a nice life. I have everything I need. I'm in a big house. I don't want for anything. So I have a lot of gratitude. I have my carrot. If you had asked me as a young girl what I would want in life, this is the life I would describe in many ways. I would change the part, though, about romance and sex and intimacy. I don't have that. I still want it very much. So I feel like, I don't mean to say like I'm ungrateful or like I'm unsatisfied, although I am. I kind of feel like it's like a good thing. It's meant to propel me to not give up. It's meant to propel me to go seek out things that I want, like the traveling I want to do. And, I do hope for love and romance, but I'm not going to put an expectation on it. And my husband, just briefly, as long as I'm talking about it, we even talked about our relationship, our sexual relationship. And he kind of expressed that if we had reconnected like that, then everything would be perfect. Then we would be perfect, because everything else really did improve in many ways. But that's not true. That's not our answer. We are not that couple, and we were never compatible in that way. We have very different drives. Vibrationally speaking, we are not sexually compatible. And the thought of connecting in with him like that, I've learned to trust my gut, and it didn't feel good. I love him. I sleep naked with him. I walk around naked with him. So see there, I don't have complete shame. I'm naked for him, and before my kids were too big, I'd be naked for them. So it's just really through my perceived eyes of the twins looking at me. And everybody else too. People that don't give a shit and don't look at me. They're all looking at me. But anyway, I have my carrot, and I'm very fortunate to have caught it and appreciate it. And I'm enjoying this carrot. I really am. But I want more for me. So I'm going to continue inner working and freeing myself from the ideas that no longer serve me, the false beliefs that no longer serve me. And it is my hope that I will have these travels and I will have these romances. But I'm also willing to not forget what I have right here in front of me. I'm a very lucky girl, and I know it. All right, you guys, thank you again for allowing me to grow and evolve through the sharing of my story. I hope I got it all out, because it was another long one. Thanks, guys.